Hello, this is Andy Jago, pastor of Bethany Lutheran Church and Preschool. Perhaps you know that already, though, because you've been keeping up with our series called The Story. We're walking through the main historical narrative of the Bible and connecting all the parts of the Bible to the main story of our salvation as we go. And it's an exciting process. We're at chapter 18. If you've been following, you know that there was a major turning point in the previous chapter, and now our focus is going to shift. The people that God had called together as a nation, they're being punished for their sins. The land is taken away, and so they're in a foreign land, and that's where our focus is, in the land of Babylon. Today that would be modern-day Iraq and Iran. And in ancient Babylon, under King Nebuchadnezzar at first, we meet a person named Daniel, and then his friends Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Interesting that we know Daniel by his Hebrew name, and then the other three by their Babylonian names, but you'll see that in the chapter that we are studying this week. Now, every week I give a little preview of what we're going to be reading, looking out for different themes, and you're welcome to, as you're going through this, highlight, ask questions, tell me the things that really interest you and that you connect with in this chapter. You could do that in the comments section if you're watching this video on YouTube or Facebook, and you can also bring those with you. We have Sunday school for all ages starting at 8:45, and then we celebrate at 10 o'clock in our worship service. Now, for the sermon each week, there's different ways in which I can approach, there's a lot of material in each chapter, and so we got to narrow that down, and I have to think about what I'm going to preach on each week. Then I do something a little different this week, in that I'm taking a text that's not necessarily in the chapter for this week. Well, it is, but it's just like a little bridge section and summarized in this chapter. And I'm talking about Daniel chapter 5 is just summarized. And why do I want to preach on that? Several reasons. Number one, the kids are Allelu Singers who practice in this room. This is our bell tables. This is the music here for our adult and children's choir. I kind of rated the music this week to show you the musical that our kids are going to be doing in June, which is Daniel chapter 6. You see the friendly lion down there, and that gives you an idea of what Daniel chapter 6 is all about. It's Daniel in the lion's den. That's something that is fairly familiar. I'm doing the chapter before that, so you might want to think of it maybe as a little bit of a prequel to what is coming up. But the other reason why I wanted to do that is because I think this chapter really connects well to a theme we see in this whole chapter of the story, chapter 18. Daniel chapter 5 really connects us to the wisdom of God and his kingdom. I think that's what Daniel was there to teach these different kings that he's associated with. He's there to teach them what is true wisdom. We encounter that with Solomon earlier on in the story. And what is God's kingdom? Who is in charge of all of history and all of these other kingdoms that rise and fall? This is a major theme that goes through the whole book of Daniel. So I think Daniel chapter 5 really emphasizes that and connects us to that with this chapter, which is all about the handwriting on the wall. So maybe include Daniel chapter 5 with your readings this week, and then, as I said, bring all those highlights and questions with you on Sunday. So may the Lord bless our reading, marking, learning, and our inwardly digesting of his holy word.